So, the NRL just kicked off its season under the bright lights of Vegas, and wow, did it deliver. I mean, we got everything we could have possibly hoped for, and then some. From the very first whistle, it was just pure, high-octane drama. So let's get right into what made it so unforgettable. I mean, that was literally the question on everyone's lips after one of the most thrilling opening games I can remember. Because look, when the NRL landed in Vegas, they didn't just bring the sport with them. They brought that heart-stopping, down-to-the-wire chaos that makes rugby league just so incredible to watch. And the absolute centerpiece of the whole night, it had to be the clash between the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs and the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Seriously, this wasn't just a game. It was a genuine epic. It went so far down to the wire, they needed extra time just to find a winner. Okay, so for anyone who might be new to the NRL, let's just quickly break down what Golden Point is, because it's so important here. Think of it as pure, sudden death overtime. The very first team to score any points, doesn't matter if it's a try, a penalty, a field goal, they win. The game is over right then and there. The stakes are just off the charts. And man, in those last few frantic moments, you could just feel the panic setting in. You had the Bulldogs' Matt Burton, his shot gets smothered. Then for the Dragons, both Valentine Holmes and Dan Atkins just spray their shots wide. Both teams had these golden opportunities to ice the game, but with the clock ticking down, in the very first game of the year, mind you, the pressure just completely took over. It was pure chaos.
But here's what made this whole thing so compelling. Even though they lost, the Dragons were just immense. They were getting absolutely hammered for huge parts of that game, just absorbing all this pressure, and they simply refused to break. I mean, you see the quote right there. Commentators were saying if they'd pulled it off, it would have been one of the bravest wins they'd ever seen.
And that right there, that's the emotional whiplash of sports, isn't it? For the Dragons players and all their fans, you have to feel so much pride in that performance. They went toe-to-toe with a great Bulldog side. But to come that close and then lose in sudden death, that's just pure devastation. It's the kind of loss that's really going to sting for a while. But you know how it is, in these moments of intense drama, the superstars, they always seem to rise to the occasion. And all across this Vegas showcase, we saw some absolutely incredible individual performances that just flipped their games on their heads. So for the Bulldogs, with the game hanging in the balance, it wasn't one of their usual kickers who stepped up to win it. Nope, it was their brand new captain, the man they call Critter, Stephen Crichton, who just decided, okay, I'm taking over. And this quote, it tells you everything you need to know about the mindset that won them the game. Picture it, that final chaotic play, everyone's scrambling, no one knows what's happening. Crichton basically just waves off his own teammates. He didn't ask for the ball, he demanded it. He was like, nope, get out of my way, this is mine. It wasn't just a play, it was a statement. A leader taking absolute charge. And get this, here's the kicker, no pun intended, that game-winning season-opening point, it was the very first field goal of Stephen Crichton's entire NRL career. Think about that. To do it in Vegas, in Golden Point, as the new captain, you just can't write a better script than that. It's storybook stuff. Okay, so meanwhile, in the other huge game of the night, we got the return of Newcastle Knights superstar Kalyn Ponga. Now, he'd been out for a long 8 months, so there were a lot of questions about how he'd look coming back. Well, he answered every single one of them, and then some. He didn't just answer the questions about his form, he absolutely blew them out of the water. He didn't just play well, he completely dominated. The praise you're seeing here was coming from everywhere. He was running the ball, kicking with insane precision, setting up tries. He was like a maestro out there, conducting the entire Knights attack. He showed everyone exactly why he's one of the best in the game. Seriously, after 8 months off, it looked like he hadn't missed a single second. And you know what? Ponga wasn't even the only Knight lighting up the field. For a little while there, a brief but absolutely brilliant period, this player named Fletcher Sharp looked like he was about to steal the entire show. For the first 20 minutes of that game, Fletcher Sharp was without a doubt the best player on the field. He was playing with this unbelievable energy and confidence, just electric. But then, in just a heartbreaking twist, his night was over. A non-contact injury, and he had to leave the game on basically one leg. Just brutal. So what's the latest on his injury? Well, the first reports coming out of the locker room suggest a medial ligament injury. Now look, that's not great news by any stretch, but there's also this huge sigh of relief. because everyone is just crossing their fingers that it's not the dreaded ACL. That would be a season ender for sure. So he's waiting on scans, and I think the whole league is kind of holding its breath for the kid.
All right, so let's zoom out a bit. After all that action, you've got the Golden Point drama, the superstars being heroes, the heartbreaking injuries. What does it all mean for the rest of the season? Well, one veteran commentator thinks he knows, and he's ready to make a pretty bold call. That's right, it took less than 2 full games of footy for the legendary commentator Andrew Voss to see a pattern, something that led him to make a really bold and honestly, a very exciting prediction for the entire year ahead. And there it is, right there. Andrew Voss, right after round 1, declared, "Mark this down, this is going to be the year of the Golden Point, folks." He's convinced that the absolute thriller we saw in Vegas, that wasn't a one-off. It was a preview of what's coming all season long.
So, what does that actually mean for us, the fans? Well, it means a season that's packed with what Voss loves to call ball terrors. You know, those incredibly close, tough, super exciting games. He's predicting a whole year of these nail-biting finishes. And you know what? He might be onto something. With the salary cap making the talent so even across the league these days, it feels like more and more games are coming down to just one single play.
So, after that absolutely explosive start in Las Vegas, here's the question that's going to hang over the whole season. Was that just a perfect storm, opening round excitement, all fueled by the Vegas lights? Or is it a real sign that the entire league is now so evenly matched that we really are in for the year of the Golden Point? If Voss is right, we could be looking at a season full of these edge-of-your-seat thrillers. And hey, the only way we're going to find out if he's right is to keep watching.